guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you the top 5 most rare Nike Mercurials in my personal collection. Now, all of these shoes are extremely hard to come by, and if you do end up finding a pair for sale because of their rarity, they tend to be very, very expensive. So without further ado, let's take a look at the 5 most rare Mercurials that I personally own. Number 5 is the CR7 Vitória Nike Mercurial Superfly 5, limited to 777 total pairs worldwide, each individually numbered. I have pair number 267 of 777. This shoe was released in celebration of Cristiano Ronaldo's epic year of 2016, where he won the Champions League, he won the Euro Cup, and ended up winning the Ballon d'Or as well. So they released this shoe in celebration of all of those achievements in this very good looking kind of pearly white upper with the holographic kind of color changing graphics and the CR7 branding, the outline for the Nike swoosh, and the Mercurial logo. And then to finish all of that off, you have the super shiny metallic gold finish sole plate. So overall, very cool release, very good looking shoe, and like I said, extremely limited. The 4th spot on my list actually goes to a pair of Nike Mercurials that never released to the public, and it's this shoe right here. This is a salesman sample variation of the Nike Mercurial Superfly 1 in the launch colorway that never actually came out. And the reason why it never came out is because Nike postponed the release because 3 big name players wearing these shoes in game prior to the official launch pretty much all had their shoes explode in the span of a very short period of time. It was all in the same week. Drogba, Luis Fabiano, and Andre Arshavin, you're probably familiar with all of those names, and at the time they were really big name kind of advertising players for the Nike brand. So people really took note when these 3 players had some in-game boot malfunctions. So as a precaution, and it probably was a good idea in the long run, Nike ended up scrapping the original version of the Superfly 1, making some modifications of the shoe, and then ended up releasing that modified version later on, a couple months later, in colorways that were current with the rest of the Mercurial line, which at the time was the Vapor 5 and the takedowns to go along with that. So you could have got the Vapor 5 or any of the takedowns in that new generation of Mercurial in this particular colorway, but the Superfly 1 never actually released. So this is a salesman sample, and it's actually kind of cool about these is that if you look at the actual sample tag, it still says Mercurial Vapor Superfly, because at the time prior to the release, they weren't sure if they were going to call it the Superfly or the Vapor Superfly, which obviously it just ended up being Mercurial Superfly. They ditched the Vapor name, which I think makes a lot of sense, but this still has Vapor Superfly on the tag, along with other differences in the flywire, the main construction of the upper, as well as some of the heel area, which I'll show you through some little footage on screen. But overall, it's really difficult to say how many of these are actually out there. I would assume not very many because it never ended up going into production. Very, very lucky to have come across a salesman sample variation. This is kind of a cool piece of Nike Mercurial history, if you will, and really one of the only instances that I can think of where a shoe was set to release in a specific version, but because of what ended up happening in the public eye, with 3 big name players ripping the shoes in game, they ended up pulling the release, and this is essentially the version of the Superfly 1 that never was. The 3 spot goes to the rare gold CR7 Nike Mercurial Superfly 4. This shoe is limited to 333 pairs worldwide and was released in celebration of Cristiano Ronaldo winning his 3rd Ballon d'Or. What's interesting in terms of backstory with this particular shoe is that when Nike first unveiled it, it was only going to be for Cristiano Ronaldo in his lower collar modified version that he was going to wear for a couple of weeks, again, kind of as a marketing celebration for his 3rd Ballon d'Or. It was something that was supposed to be exclusive to him, but because the demand was so crazy on social media based on the pictures that they showed of Ronaldo's custom pair, they decided a couple months later to actually produce them in very limited quantities and release them to the public. So we ended up getting 333 pairs, each individually numbered. I have pair number 66 of 333. It's got the Soft Ground Pro variation, as you can see, with the gold tip studs, the sparkly upper with the gold at the front, and then it fades to black with the black swoosh and the gold CR7 branding. And overall, just a very, very cool shoe. It would have been absolutely incredible had they released it with the shortened collar like Cristiano Ronaldo himself actually wears, but it ended up just being a regular variation of the Superfly 4. Not complaining all that much, still a very cool release and a lot of people's personal favorite of all the Cristiano Ronaldo signature colorways ever to come out. The 2 spot on this list goes to the CR7 white and orange Nike Mercurial Vapor 9s. No official name on this particular shoe, it's just the CR7 Vapor 9, but it's extremely limited with only 100 total pairs worldwide. I was lucky enough to get a single pair. They're not individually numbered for whatever reason, but extremely limited. They released this shoe in celebration of Cristiano Ronaldo's record-breaking 2011-2012 season. It has the white and orange coloring, which just looks extremely clean. The CR7 branding here on the medial side as well as on the insole, and then these numbers listed along the lateral side of the heel, which represent the different milestones that he achieved throughout that 2011-2012 season. So overall, very good looking shoe. I know a lot of people are big fans of the Vapor 9 in general, and in terms of Vapor 9s that ever released, this is one of the most desirable ones of them all. Finally, at the number 1 spot, we have the Black History Month, or BHM, Nike Mercurial Superfly 4s. Now, in terms of actual numbers on this limited release, nothing specific was given by Nike, but based on what was available, how long they were available, and what's available in resale, it's safe to say that there are not a lot of these out there at all. These are some of the most limited shoes that Nike has ever put out, and the resale prices on some that are available, legit pairs, are absolutely insane. Very cool shoe in regards to details, and part of the reason why I think this was such a popular limited edition release is because of how cool looking it is. It has this really cool kind of pattern that's all over the place across the upper in black and white. You have the reflective aspect within the actual Nike swoosh that continues with the same pattern you're gonna find through the rest of the upper, the Black History Month logo there on the heel, and then of course the gold detailing on the outline of the swoosh, as well as within that logo. Carbon fiber bottom, just a very good looking shoe. Many would argue, including myself, that this was the best looking Superfly 4 that we saw throughout the entire generation of this particular shoe. And it was also a first for a Black History Month themed soccer cleat. It's something that Nike had done for a little while with sneakers as well as basketball shoes, but they had never done a soccer cleat slash football boot. So this was a first for that as well. And they definitely did not disappoint with their first attempt at a BHM soccer cleat. So overall, super, super limited, very special pair of Mercurials, and probably the most limited ones in my personal collection. Alright guys, that is it for the top 5 most rare Nike Mercurials in my personal collection. If you enjoyed the video and perhaps want to see more top 5 collection videos, leave a like on the video and let me know down below in the comments what you'd like to see in regards to a top 5 collection of what. Because I do have obviously a pretty solid collection. You can see it behind me. There's a lot more in the SR4U boot room. So again, if this is something you'd like to see more of, let me know your suggestions down below in the comment section. And of course, if you have any questions regarding any of the shoes in today's video, leave those down below in the comments as well, and I definitely will try to answer them to the best of my abilities. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.